Hi and welcome. Now, a question was asked a couple of videos ago as to just how many projects or how many vehicles have I got on the go, and the answer is far too many. Even with fairly ruthless scheduling and spending a lot of time, I have far too many projects on the go, as a result of which I am eliminating some projects from my list of things to do. Not so much vehicles, but things that I used to be interested in but currently don't have time for, and generally I don't have time because I have so many vehicles to deal with. So, how many vehicles? Well, let's have a run through them and give a brief outline of where we are. DRZ 400 SM Supermoto. Now this is the bike that people have noticed it does not appear in any of my videos, which is sort of odd, at least to me, because this is actually the bike I ride the most. This is the bike that I have been commuting to work on for most of the past year. It's just great in traffic. It's such a fun bike to ride. Of all the bikes I own, this is the most fun to ride, without any question, without any doubt at all. It's a real hooligan bike. You can chuck it anywhere. It squeezes through really tight gaps in traffic. The only downside to it is that it's really horrible on the motorway. The engine's far too small, it's far too slow. But aside from being on the motorway, it's just a great fun bike to ride. The reason it doesn't appear in any of my videos is that I've been riding it every day. It hasn't needed any particular work. It's got to the point where it really needs a new chain and sprocket now, because the current chain is stretched. I'm sure it has absolutely nothing to do with the wheelies away from the lights. Yeah, it's just a great bike. It's very reliable. But as I say, because I've been riding every day, it hasn't had any modification. Like Mr. Cactus, I had certain ideas, which coincided with his actually, about what I wanted to do with the bike. But because I've been riding it every day, there's just been not the opportunity to make the modifications. As I say, it's why it doesn't appear in any of my videos. Well, as it happens, it's going to stay in the shed, but it's not going to be mine for much longer. Well, that's the plan anyway, assuming Jacob gets his finger out and actually passes his test. The problem I have at the moment is I have too many bikes in the shed. As I mentioned in another video, I had no plans at all to buy another bike, but because where I work has changed, this is no longer suitable for commuting to work. Well, it might be if I spend most of my time in the closer office, so we'll see. The other office I might be working from is basically a motorway drag there and back every day. This isn't suitable, and the mileage would kill it anyway. So I don't want to sacrifice this to high mileage on the motorway for no particular reason. So we'll see what happens to this one going forward. But there you go, DRZ 400 SM, fantastic bike, absolute joy to ride. Sports to Sport, the equivalent in the current model range is the Roadster. When they're not making a Sport or a Roadster, they seem to make the XR. So this is my oldest bike and probably my favourite, because, well, it's a brute and it's hard work. There's a couple of major projects need to be done to it. Forks need rebuilding, needs putting back to 4 spark instead of 2. It needs a full service, and there's just other bits and pieces that I want to play with, things like the air intake and so forth, and then maybe get it stuck on a dyno. Okay, so this is the 1200 Bandit. Okay, so this is the 1200 Bandit, also known as Damage. This one's the crowd pleaser. This is the one that people will come up and talk to you about and ask you questions on, and of course the only question they always ask is, did you build it? Which is rather annoying, but it's the price you pay for having a bike that attracts attention. Mechanically it's all gone running pretty well. I need to replace the rear shock, and I'm in the process of changing over the hoses at the moment. Otherwise, yeah, routine servicing, and that's about it. I do have some ideas for modification, but it's just one of those things of finding the time amongst all the other projects to actually get done. Otherwise, it's a great bike to ride. I've no intention of changing the tyres, even though I could probably get more grip from something more road friendly, but really riding fast isn't one of the things that I have any particular interest in doing. I enjoy riding for riding's sake, not for blatting around the countryside as fast as it's possible to do, which is probably what you'll tend to see with my bikes. They aren't really fast bikes. There's no sports bikes in the range, and you'll never see me on a Hayabusa or any similar bike. Famous last words, but really not my scene at all. So anyway, here you go. Here's damage, running well, no intentions of retiring, and just some upgrades and keeping it on the road. As I do have some projects that I have in mind. I do want to rebuild the seat unit, for example. It's if you watch Dell's original videos, you'll see that he talks about doing it when he was doing the tank, but he never got round to it. I'm still not a massive fan of that little screen I've put on there, so that's going to get changed at some point. I have various ideas. The problem with it is getting an idea that already has been done to death, and people look at it and go, oh yeah, I've seen that elsewhere, he's just copying something. I do have something in mind, but it's too much like everybody else does, so probably not going to do that. GSF 650 Bandit. GSF 650 Bandit, newest bike in the stable, and the one that is replacing the DRZ for commuting duty. As I said before, no plans to buy this, but it's going to be a workhorse. That's its sole function really. It's a high revving 4-cylinder straight for screaming bike. What can I say? Handles well, rides well, seems to be going really nicely now, but not a bike I would probably bought, to be perfectly honest, if I was looking for a bike that I wanted to ride. It's not that there's anything wrong with it, absolutely not, and it should be great for commuting, but having ridden this into work for the last couple of weeks and then taken the DRZ into work, the difference in traffic is just, and in fun value, is just immense, unbelievably huge. Anyway, it is what it is. I have some general plans in mind for it, but they are mostly reliability based, so it should be getting a Scott oiler, and it'll be having working its way through a service, although it is an ABS bike, so the brakes are going to be more interesting to do, I think the fork seals definitely need doing, even though they're quite new. There's something odd going on there that needs to have a look at. So more work to be done to this, but it's going to be an ongoing project, and given its mileage it's going to get serviced quite regularly. So not a lot I can really say about this bike. And then there's the Lomax. Well, I think most of you are pretty up to date with the Lomax. It's in bits. As of yet I've not tried to put it back together, so it remains to be seen just how many obstacles there are to overcome in order to do that. Currently it's been pushed back until I've actually got all the bikes serviced, so they're ready to roll. and after that it's the process of trying to get enough space in the shed by moving bikes out of the way so I can start to reassemble the Lomax. But only time will tell how well that's actually going to work. But you can see from this is how the shed is. It's missing one bike because Jacobs isn't in there at the moment, which is the space on the left. Otherwise, well, the chassis you can't really see, it's down on the right. The bike stands are sitting on top of it. The engine and gearbox are on the shelf a bit at the back of the shed, and the running gear is otherwise hidden around in the boxes on the right and on top of the shelving there. So that's, well, I'm hoping to get back to that at some point in the next month or two, but only time will tell. And then there's the Wildcard. Now, this is a vehicle I've owned for a long time, best part of 20 years. It runs and it doesn't run. At the moment it's not running. There's an issue with the carburetor. The carburetor's not that old, but it seems that, like repop things often are, this is a pretty faulty batch, so I'm going to have to find a new solution, probably a new carburetor. It needs a respray. I want to upgrade it from 12 volt from 6 volt to 12 volt, and there's just a number of other minor projects that need sorting out. But otherwise, it's a good car. It runs well. Well, when it runs, which is not so much at the moment. That's largely my fault because it sat in the garage for about 6 years without really being run. So that's getting back on the road. Well, at least for now. Okay, 6 vehicles, some working, some not so working, one in bits. The latter vehicle, I think that's probably on the list of things to go, to be honest. I just don't drive really very much at all now, and certainly not often enough to justify having 2 cars on the road and taxed. What will happen when I get the Lomax back on the road, I have no idea, because then there'll be 3. And if I do drive anything, it's because we're going somewhere or I need to pick something up, and in that case I'm using our everyday run around car. Otherwise I'm on the bike. It's as simple as that, or one of the bikes anyway. So there you go, 6 vehicles, not enough time, and I am pruning back all over the place. I need more time, and I need to get rid of some stuff that I don't use anymore to generate funds that I can reinvest into the bikes, because they've all got projects and things that I want to do with them, and at this point in time I'm probably going to have to wait till my birthday to get a new tool that I can use to work on damage, to create what I want to create, if I can. Well, we'll see. But ongoing projects always need cash, and there's never enough of it. So great, thanks for dropping by, and I'll catch you guys again soon.